You spend 2 years of your life and every dollar you can raise making a movie. It finally sells to a distributor. And before you see a single cent, 40% of everything that movie earns is already gone. Not to the actors, not to you, just gone straight to the distributor before your name even shows up on the list of people getting paid. Today, we're breaking down the real economics of owning an independent film production house, and by the end, you'll understand why so many films that everyone loved still lost their investors' money. Let's get into it. Owning a production house sounds glamorous. Cameras, red carpets, your name in the credits. The reality is that you are running one of the riskiest business models on the planet, where a single project can take years, cost everything you own, and still return absolutely nothing. Let's start from the very beginning. Raising the money. Before you shoot a single frame, you need what's called the budget, the total amount of money required for pre-production, shooting, and post-production. As the producer, you're typically expected to raise 30 to 50% of that budget yourself before anyone else takes you seriously. This is called equity financing. You're literally selling ownership stakes in the film to investors, family, friends, local businesses, sometimes film funds or grants. In exchange for their money now, they get a percentage of whatever the film earns later, if it earns anything at all. There's also debt financing, which works more like a mortgage on your movie. You borrow money and pay it back with interest, using future distribution rights or expected earnings as collateral. The upside of debt is that once you've paid it off, you're done, no ongoing profit sharing. The downside is that you owe that money back regardless of whether the film succeeds. Then there are tax incentives and foreign subsidies, which experienced producers lean on heavily. Productions that qualify can receive 25 to 35% of their qualified production costs back through tax credits. Foreign subsidies can be even bigger, sometimes covering 50 to 80% of a film's budget, which is exactly why so many productions film in specific countries that offer these deals, regardless of where the story is actually set. Okay, so you've cobbled together your budget from investors, maybe a loan, maybe some tax credit money. You make the film. Now what? You need a distributor, either a traditional studio or a streaming platform, to actually get your film in front of an audience. Here's where that 40% number comes back in. When your film generates revenue, box office, streaming licensing, DVD sales, whatever the source, the distributor takes their fees and costs off the top first. That's typically around 40% of gross receipts. What's left after that, called net receipts, is what actually flows back toward the producer and investors. And even that remaining 60% doesn't come straight to you. There's a strict order of operations, sometimes called the waterfall, that determines who gets paid first. Step 1 in the waterfall. Your investors get paid back first, dollar for dollar, before anyone else sees a cent. If your budget was $750,000, the first $750,000 of net receipts goes straight back to whoever funded the film. Not profit yet, just recouping what they put in. Step 2. Union costs kick in. If you used union actors, the Screen Actors Guild takes a cut. And here's a detail that surprises people. For lower budget films, under $750,000, that SAG cut has historically sat around just 3% of gross revenue. Compare that 3% to the distributor's 40%, and you start to see where the real money actually leaves the building. Step 3, and only after investors are fully repaid, comes what the industry calls back-end points. 1 point equals 1% of revenue. These points get distributed based on deals made ahead of time with directors, key crew, sometimes actors who agreed to defer their salary in exchange for a slice of future profit instead of getting paid up front. If the film flops, those deferred salaries and back-end points can end up worth nothing. Here's the part that makes this business genuinely brutal to actually run. Film returns don't behave like normal investments. Financial researchers studying independently financed films have found the returns follow what's called a fat-tailed distribution, meaning most outcomes cluster around modest losses, while a tiny handful of films become massive, unpredictable hits. There is no reliable, repeatable formula for guessing which project lands in that lucky tail. Academic analysis of these returns literally describes independently financed films as behaving like extreme events. The same language used to describe rare, high-impact occurrences in other fields entirely. That unpredictability is why so many producers describe this industry with a specific phrase. You're not really investing in a movie, you're buying a lottery ticket with a 2-year production schedule attached to it. Let's talk about the actual day-to-day costs of running a production house, separate from any single film's budget. You need permanent staff, even between projects, people managing legal contracts, accounting, and relationships with distributors and financiers. You need ongoing legal costs because every film requires contracts with actors, crew, investors, and distributors, and those contracts need to hold up if a dispute happens years later. You need development costs, money spent optioning scripts, hiring writers, and building projects that may never actually get made. Industry estimates suggest the majority of scripts a production house develops never make it to production at all, meaning that development spending is essentially a sunk cost baked into the business model from day one. Now, here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because not every producer plays this game the same way. Some filmmakers have started rejecting the traditional distributor route entirely, choosing self distribution instead, selling directly to audiences through their own platforms and marketing. It's riskier in some ways because you lose the marketing muscle and reach a major distributor brings. But you also keep a dramatically larger share of every dollar earned, since there's no 40% distributor cut eating into your revenue before you ever see it. Filmmakers who've studied their own numbers closely describe this as choosing financial sustainability over the mythology of getting picked up by a big studio, a mythology that keeps a lot of producers locked into deals that mathematically don't serve them. Let's get into a few genuinely surprising facts about how this industry actually works. Fact 1. Some producers intentionally accept a financially worse distribution deal specifically to get their film reviewed by major trade publications, because those reviews and pull quotes can be more valuable for their next project's fundraising than the actual money from this one. The film itself sometimes functions as a marketing expense for the producer's career, not a standalone profit center. Fact 2. Deferred compensation is far more common than most people realize. Directors, key crew, and even actors will often agree to work for reduced or zero upfront pay, betting entirely on back-end points instead. This means a film's actual cash budget can look deceptively small on paper, while the true cost, including everyone's deferred salary, is significantly higher if the film ever actually turns a profit. Fact 3. The waterfall structure means a film can be a genuine critical and cultural success, widely watched and talked about, while still returning zero profit to its investors, because distribution fees, recoupment, and back-end obligations can consume the entire net revenue before profit sharing even begins. Audience love and financial success are two completely separate outcomes in this business. So what can a normal person actually take from the economics of owning an independent film production house? Lesson 1. Understand exactly who gets paid before you do. That 40% distributor cut, the recoupment order, the back-end points, all of it existed before you signed anything. Whatever business you're in, know the full payment order before you count on money that technically has several people standing in line ahead of you. Lesson 2. Extreme variance requires a different mindset than steady returns. A business where most outcomes lose money and a rare few pay off massively can't be managed the same way as a predictable, steady income business. If you're operating in a field like this, diversify across multiple projects rather than betting everything on one. Lesson 3. Owning your distribution changes your entire economics. Producers who cut out the traditional 40% distributor fee keep dramatically more of what they earn, even with lower total reach. Sometimes a smaller, more direct relationship with your actual audience beats a bigger deal that quietly takes almost half of everything. So, there you go. A business where the distributor takes 40% before you see anything, where union costs run a modest 3% by comparison, and where even a beloved, celebrated film can still leave its investors with nothing once the waterfall runs its course. Owning an independent film production house isn't really about making movies. It's about surviving a payment structure built to pay almost everyone else before it ever gets around to paying you. If this broke down something you never knew, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow. Subscribe if you want more real breakdowns like this one, and drop a comment telling me what you want broken down next. Until next time, this has been Money Bruh, and I'll see you in the next one.